over there. Oh, who wants to come on here? Who we got here? This is my man, American Citizen too.
What's going on?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, guys. I did 2 videos on this guy. He's out of Missouri. Go on over to his channel, American Citizens 2, and he's setting up something. What are you setting up that you asked me to be a part of? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so on March 9th, we have I'm working with the ACLU here in Missouri, and we're setting up it's a virtual event to discuss our rights to record the police in public in ways that we can change law enforcement and the culture. We're going to have a Know Your Rights video in there. We're going to have a panel moderated by the ACLU. And there's going to be a lawyer that starts out explaining the laws. And then after that, this is just the beginning of something that we're doing that's bigger. What we're working for is because of the event that I went through back on Thanksgiving. We're working on putting together an organization that has law students, law professors, and practicing lawyers putting together an organization so people who get who deal with what we deal with the police and have our rights violated, there's a place that they can go to get some help. It'll also have workshops so people can understand how to file lawsuits pro se and file motions and all that type of stuff as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So that's like what do they call those? Like a workshop, right?
Yeah.
So people are more informed about their rights, because I get that all the time. File a lawsuit. File a lawsuit. Every single, if the cop doesn't identify himself, file a lawsuit. People think
right.
It's so easy to file, and like every lawyer will jump at every. No, they know. The lawyers want $1,000, $10,000 to start the lawsuit. If you don't have some kind of long-lasting injury that's gonna disable you for the rest of your life, it's hard to get a lawsuit. Unless you're gonna do it yourself, right? Unless you're gonna go by do a pro se, right?
Which is absolutely possible. Yeah, it's absolutely 100%. Because I filed a lawsuit. I filed a lawsuit pro se while I was in jail. Of course, I had a lot more time on my hands in jail than I do out here on the streets. You know what I mean? But and it was against the state of Missouri and Children's Division and stuff like that. So it is absolutely possible to do that.
Yeah, and that's a good point you made, because I think that should be like that shroud should be lifted, like it's impossible to do. People in prison do it all the time, and these are people that didn't know how to read when they went into prison, and they filed lawsuits. If you watch the one show, I don't know if it's on NBC or whatever, the guy actually changed the law. He was in New Jersey. He got filed under the kingpin status, so it wasn't any violent crime. It was selling narcotics, and he got a life sentence. He actually changed the law to get himself out of prison. And another guy I do work with, James Gibson, who's the People versus Gibson is the case law for torture in the United States. He spent 29 years in prison. He actually taught himself law to get himself out of prison. So it can be done. I mean, it not only can be done, it's been done a million times. So the idea that you can't, Andre shouldn't drink with the help of legalized drugs out in Virginia, he's filed a lawsuit against Fairfax County, I want to say, or it might have been a different county next to Fairfax County. But yeah, and that's definitely a good point. But I think it's a misnomer that people think that lawyers are just diving after you to file lawsuits, because the city of Chicago, or we'll take where I'm at, for example, city of Chicago isn't just bending the knee, because if they did, everybody be filing a lawsuit. So lawyers know that, and they know that they're going to have to put in time and work. So unless they're going to get something on the other end that's worth it, they're not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Right.
Especially it's got to be open and shut. And like you said, an injury can be a financial injury as well. You know what I mean? So like, had I lost my job because I was arrested any of the times that I've been recently arrested for recording the police, if I had lost my job because of that, that would be something that's tangible that they can look at and be like, it's because of this action, which is a violation of my constitutional rights. This injury happened. It's a direct result of these actions. But that's not necessarily the case, because I mean, technically, just being put in handcuffs, like what happened with the First Amendment strike team when he was doing the recording, the one that the audit did.
Yeah.
That he won his lawsuit. Of course, he won his lawsuit, but he already had a lawyer. I believe he already had a lawyer in the cut ready.
Yeah, but that's the video. They always see it, but that's the exception. That's not the rule. And he had everything going for him in that case because the lieutenant who came on did not do that cop any favors. He yelled at him, "Get him out of handcuffs right now." And he dressed him down in front of everybody. Like, he let him know he messed up. He goes, "He's part of the First Amendment strike team. He wanted you to do that. He wanted you to violate his rights." Like, that lieutenant did not do that cop any favors. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that guy got $41,000 by being put in cuffs for a minute and a half. And they think everybody put in cuffs is going to win $41,000. It's just that's the exception, not the rule. You know,
right? But it should be the rule.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And unless people start to actually do something, you know what I mean, and it becomes a regular. That's the only way to make it the rule. Right now, it's the exception because there's not enough lawyers.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd say there's not enough lawyers, but
you know what? And a lot of times that's why I don't like, you know, like people going to like UPS or private businesses and standing outside the gate and videotaping, because you keep on doing that and eventually like laws are not proactive, they're reactive. So if lawmakers keep on seeing like regular civilians being what they consider harassed and you know what I'm saying, like, just if you're going there with the only intention to incite them, right? You know, you're not touching them, but you got your finger an inch from their face and saying, "But I'm not touching you. But I'm not touching you." I'm going there with no other reason than to incite the public. They're gonna make a law against that. You're not helping anybody. And no, there's never been a librarian that slapped me in the face at Cicero Avenue at 2 a.m. There's never been a worker at UPS that pulled my pants down to my knees in broad daylight on Holman and exposed my genitals. You know what I'm saying? Like, the postman has no authority over me. He's never done anything to me. So I think we're along the right lines, because I mean, it becomes about views then, because it's controversy, right? It's always going to be controversy. So it's always going to be, you know, it's going to be like the cartoon where the guy steps on the rake and gets hit in the face. Like, that video is always going to get more views than a very intelligent video that somebody puts together that you got to think about. You know what I'm saying? It's just controversy. We got another guy here. Let me see. Let me put him in here.
I'm gonna grab a cigarette. Be right back.
Go ahead. Why can't I add this guy? It's saying I gotta oh, there you are.
Hey, how's it going?
Can you hear me, Minnesota News? What's up, buddy?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah,
I wanted to jump on there. We're talking about lawsuits, man. I mean, I know you guys had it too with the civil unrest. I was down in the heart of it, you know, and I had one of our Minneapolis cops tackle me down, and everyone's like, "Sue, sue, sue." It's like, do you know how many lawsuits are out there? And like you guys, we can't find attorneys. They want, well, how bad were you injured? Did you go to the hospital? You know, I get this one a lot. What's your nationality?
Do they say that?
Yeah, I get that one. I got that one from 5 different attorneys.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So wait. So what was it? They tackled you? And
yeah,
Go ahead.
I was live streaming everything that was happening here in Minneapolis.
This is the George Floyd event?
Yep. And you know, there's a time and place to challenge where we can be and where we can't be. And, you know, during that time, that's not the time to challenge that. But so I had a sergeant actually. They move out, they move the line, and I had a 360 camera. So that caught it all. But I was also live on my phone. And when they came out, the sergeant's like, he moves past me, looks at me 3 times. The third time he looked at me, he goes, "Get out of here, get out of here." And he waves his baton. I pull up my hand. I'm like, okay, not a problem. Start moving back with my tripod. And he runs up, grabs my mask, and we both go backwards. And then I had 2 other officers jump on me because I'm not going to fault them because all they seen is one of their guys come and tackle someone. So kind
Yeah.
of herd mentality. They probably figured I was not complying or whatever. But they made me leave my camera down there, and they kept yelling at me, "Get out of there, get out of there." And it's like, I can't talk to Minneapolis PD. I can't, like, PIO won't respond to me. No one in their upper brassels respond to me. And it's really troubling because, the rest of the day you're sore and you're trying to cover all this, but no one
Yeah.
will take it. Hey,
Were you able to get your camera back?
I was able to, yeah. I wouldn't leave the area because I was watching my camera. As soon as they fell back, I ran back and grabbed my camera.
Oh, so it was so much they pushed you and your camera's behind the police lines, and
Well,
you're
they
on
moved
all
forward.
over here.
Yeah, they moved forward, but I was still on the outside of their line, right?
Yeah.
So I was still okay. But, during that crap, I'm not going to challenge, especially Minneapolis PD. Now, our neighboring city, St. Paul, where our capital is, their line moved right around me, and I followed them all over about 10, 15 feet behind those officers, and they were completely fine with it, except for at one time for about 15 minutes, they had me go in front of their line.
What would you say your lasting injuries were? I mean, whether it be physical or your property?
Well, my tripod obviously broke because the whole, top of it snapped off. I was,
Yeah.
hurting for about a week after that.
And what were the reasons that they tackled you? Other than what, they were trying to move you back and you weren't going back, or did you
No,
not?
I was. I said, okay. I started moving back. He just ran up and tackled me. So there was no reason for it.
Yeah, and you got all that on tape?
All of it. It was live streamed. I have it on the 360 camera. I actually have it up on my channel.
Yeah.
But like all of us, even mainstream out there, they're targeting us because they didn't want us out there filming.
Yeah. Oh, it's always, if you got a camera, it's always a problem. But that would be something like, I would think would be in small claims court, which would be like $5,000 and under. I know that in my state it's $5,000 and under.
In Minnesota, I think it's 15,000 we can go up to.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd have to do more research on it, but I mean, being sore and getting tackled in a situation like that where it's like a riot going on and, like, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be hard. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to be the same situation. You're just standing in your driveway where nothing's going on. It's a completely different scenario. Just like they ask you what race you are. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it has to do with, what's the scenario and what's the situation going on. You're in the middle of a riot. You got tackled. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. As opposed to, you're standing at the end of your driveway and you got tackled, but nothing was going on. There was no, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Totality of circumstances, right?
Exactly. 100%. The totality of circumstances, I think, makes them decide whether they're going to take it or not. And a lot of them don't take it. And there was ones that I thought they were going to take for sure, and they wouldn't take them. So,
but I mean, in reality though, like, there shouldn't have to be an injury when there's a constitutional violation. The constitutional violation itself is in and of itself an injury. Unfortunately, that's not how the lawyers seem to work.
That's why we got to learn how to do it ourselves. That's why we got to learn how to file the lawsuits ourselves. And I think it's a lot more intimidating than it actually is, because there's I know online, like, if you're going to do a 1983 federal rights lawsuit, deprivation of rights under color of law, there's like which would be most cases if you're going to do it federally. There's like an outline or whatever that you just fill in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. There's a form.
Yeah,
there's supposed to be a
they
packet.
give you the body and you just fill it in.
Yeah, there's supposed to be a pack, and I actually went up to our federal courthouse, was it last week, to go up there and actually film that to our federal courthouse in Minneapolis. And of course, the blue coat marshals, U.S. Marshals, you know, a couple of them were pretty cool, and they were talking to me, and they had no idea, of course, because of COVID, all our stuff's shut down. So I
Hmm.
was just asking where to go, how to get it, because I was working on a story on just how to do this, because we're all in the same situation. No one knows how to do it, and we don't have any really good guidance on
Yeah.
it. And
That's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping to fix with that event, right? And that's just the beginning of what we're trying to do with this event on the 9th. We're hoping we'll be streaming it live. The ACLUs, they're going to be streaming it live on their Facebook and their and I think their YouTube as well, in multiple places. I'm gonna see what I can do about also getting it streamed on my channel. And if DPN, if you come in, you know what I mean, see what all we can do to make that happen. Because the idea is, like you said, we need the information. All people need is the information.
Yeah. I wish I
yeah,
had legalized drugs. If anybody doesn't know what legalized drugs is, he's I hate the word auditor, but it's just the easiest term to use because
Right.
it's so broad now. It's not a person who just walks in a police station and stays quiet and just waits to see. It's just anybody that films, basically now. But legalized drugs, he's a beast, and he's the one who helped ASD docs. And I wish he would do like maybe something like that, because he's looking at it from our perspective, right? He's looking at it from a citizen's perspective, and he's filed multiple. And Andre ASD Docs he's like, man, he's so good. I was shocked, and I always said like he's my favorite YouTuber, like my favorite auditor, even though he's not an auditor. But like the first time I watched him, I was like, dude, that dude's on another level. Like when the cop came up to him, I think the first thing he said, the cop asked him a question. He goes, before we talk about matters of curiosity, let's talk about matters of legality. And when he said that, I was like, oh, I'm like, this dude's on a different, like, he understands shit. Like, he knows what he's talking about. So, like, the cop was being curious, right? And cops always work in that gray area. Like, you don't know if you're detained or not. And if you don't ask them, they're not going to tell you. But he goes, before we talk about matters of legality, before we talk about matters of curiosity, let's talk about matters of legality. Am I being detained? Like, he was just so slick and smooth with it and so far ahead of the cop. He was running circles around him. He really, really is good. That's legalized drugs. But yeah, we definitely need to know what